I've been wishing to do this video for a long time. I have written about it, I have talked with people about it, and I just think that things are moving too slow, so I'm going to give an extra push with this video, and if it doesn't work as well, I'm going to bring it on in several places until we get there, because we should be there already. Now, scientists are even calling a whole geological age after us. I don't know if they're correct in doing so or not. I'm not a geologist. This is not something I am an expert on, so I'll leave it to them, to each their own, right? But it's a fact. We are living what apparently seems to be called the Anthropocene. So we have evolved so much that we are not influenced by the environment. We became the environment. We became the ones influencing the environment. And we have also reached the age of information. We do not live on the industrial age anymore. So humanity has evolved, technologically, at least. And whenever there is such an evolution, we need a whole new way of life. It's consequential to the reality around us and within us. First we were hunter-gatherers, then we became farmers, then we became workers in factories, factory workers, office workers. We became staff. Now, God knows where this is leading us. It's leading us to a new reality that should have been already. We should have already understood that we have never been so wealthy as we are today. We have never produced so many goods as we have today. We throw food out. Supermarkets throw food out every day because there's so much food in the world. Not to say the producers, not to say the farmers, how much food they throw out to at least keep the prices up so they can live, so prices don't go down violently. Because if they send in all the production that they had, I mean, we would be giving things literally for free in supermarkets. So we are definitely living newer times. Low middle class today have better or similar living standards if we compare, at least in Occident, to barons in the Middle Ages, to noblemen in the Middle Ages. You want music, you have music. In my house, I have hot water and cold water. We have heaters in houses. We do not need to do the work. It does the work for us. We want entertainment. We have all sorts of entertainment. We want clothes. We have access to all sorts of garments. We can buy silk anywhere. We can buy, like, at least anywhere. If you don't find it in your hometown, you can order it through the internet. So in that sense, you have access to silk, something that was a big deal 500 years ago. You have it in less than a week if you don't go out and just buy it for a price that is way cheaper than it was 500 years ago. We have access to everything. We have, therefore, everything. Everything is at the tip of our fingers. It's not even at the steps of our shoes. It's at the tip of our fingers. We have access to everything. We can everything, technically speaking. So with this comes a new reality that we need to adapt to. And here is where all the dystopian histories and stories and all the fear that compounds the mind of the ignorant comes to play, that we should avoid and we should cast out. Like, sure, read about it, giggle. But truth is, yeah, that word, that truth. No, I'm not one of those. I rephrase. Facts are, we have never been so wealthier, we have never been so richer, we have never produced so much. About those people who still believe that production is limited, no, and the deforestation and all that, they are not part of our reality. If you doubt me, check Finland, for instance, that calls it calls wood as green oil. That's the green oil of Finland. Why? They produce trees. Is Finland deforested and they are close to the Arctic and whatnot? No. They know how to cut them, and they let them grow. About production of meat, it will never end. Production of thing that people need to understand is when an element of or a specific a thing becomes too expensive, they just find something cheaper to replace it. That's the order of things. But that's economy. So many people today don't want to talk about it, so I won't. So leave it aside, because opinions abound and most of them are incorrect. Let's stick to the topic here. That is, because of all this wealth, because of this new reality, we should be living in a different way. And things were moving in that direction with welfare, with all this, although done kind of, but still it was moving towards the natural direction of things, because of how much we produce. We can allow ourselves today, as in the times of, let me put it into perspective, so you don't think I belong to some ideology. I don't. At least the ideologies you know about, I do not. I want a new way of life, and if possible, away from ideologies. I find most ideologies, I sometimes flirt with the idea, but at the end of the day, I find ideologies to be evil. They have proven to be in the last couple of centuries. So many people die because of ideas. Let's stick to the facts. And I hope that in the age of information, this is what we do. We drop the ideas and we stick to the facts. Like, we use the ideas if they benefit us, and we drop them if they don't. And many ideas we live by today do not benefit us. They have become a burden. And putting it into perspective, okay? As there was an improvement from farming, like from hunter-gathering to farming, you would produce much more food at a much more reliable pace than you would in hunting and gathering. Therefore, you would have much more time for yourself, for leisure. And when we entered the Industrial Revolution, we left the farms and we joined the factories. And there were several other benefits. We had suddenly had supermarkets, we suddenly had shops, we suddenly could start buying everything almost in most societies, at least the Occidental societies that kept on with the pace of technology, the reality related to technologies. So now we reach the age of information, or even a new age that we are not fearful of the environment. We influence the environment in that sense. We are fearful of ourselves more than of the environment as it used to be. Not anymore. So, and with information, a lot more comes into play. With the information, with much more leisure time that we should have. Why? Because we have never produced so much. We have never created so much. We have never done so much. And not because of the amount of hours of work, but because of the advancement of technologies. Today, like in the beginning of the industrial age, like a machine could do the work of perhaps 2-3 people, then later on 10 people, then 20 people, then 50 people, then 100 people. Today, machines can work 24/7, non-stop, producing way more. Like our computers, our CPUs here, our PCs or whatever you have, those are entire companies patched into a little box, a little metal plastic box that does the work that several companies used to do. Like you needed buildings to do the works that a computer today can do, a PC can do. During the Industrial Revolution, you needed buildings to do that kind of stuff. One office of accountants, another, like one building of accountants, another building of publicity, another building of, if you understand what I mean, you know, financial institutions and all that came with the Industrial Revolution to perform each task. You know, I remember what my uncle, a great economist, great lawyer, great economist, used to tell me about how he, in his youth, as an economist, they need to do formulas that take 3 to 4 days to do. As a human being, you need to sit down and to do a mathematical equation that you use in economical models. You needed 3 to 4 days to do it. And how Excel, back in the 90s, how Excel had turned it into 3 to 4 minutes. So what you used to do, even in highly advanced industrial age, you, like in 3-4 days as a human, you can do today, thanks to the machine, in 3-4 minutes. So we have really surpassed officially the industrial age. We have really become, thanks to information, thanks to software, thanks to those computers, thanks to the new machinery based in computers and artificial intelligence, we have become less needed in work. So instead of hunter-gathering, instead of farmer, of cow herder, of sheep herder, and all the things that came with the farms, instead of the extensive hours in factories and mines and fields of the Industrial Revolution, we should be accepting the new reality of the consumer. We should have understood as a species that our new task due to our advancement should be a consumer class, not a working class as a majority. I'm saying, of course, there will be always those to work. However, not at least those who like to work. And I'm getting there as well. There are many people who shouldn't even be working because they're lousy and they stall the production and they damage the products and they don't do a job as they should. They shouldn't be working. It will be a blessing the day for everyone, the day that those people are not forced to go to work, that they can just stay home and consume what is being produced, because that's what they are really good at. They're good at consuming what is produced. They are not good at producing. They are not good at creating. They are not good at investing. They are not good at managing. They are not even good, some of them, not all, but they are not even good at relating with other people. But what they are good at is consuming. And they can consume as anybody else who has wits can. They probably consume way more. Oh, but what you would be suggesting is cruel. Cruel how? That people can do exactly what they want, that we have allowed, we have fought, we have developed so much that now everybody, and I mean everybody, well, perhaps except the sociopaths and psychopaths, of course, those, they shouldn't get away with everything they do. You know, like, they should at least be properly educated to not doing certain things to other people. But everybody can live the way that they want today. That's the thing. That's the reality that somehow we do not wish to accept. And I understand in a way, but I also I have a finger to point, because from some people who have talked about, although they agree with me, but they just can't believe that it is that simple. And it is that simple. This reality is that simple. The majority of people do not need to work anymore, and plus, they are not jobs for everyone. They are not, thanks to our technology. Like, the first strikes happen, and the name strike comes from it, when factory workers threw their shoes at the machines to try to break them, because they were taking people away from their jobs. And back in those days, you needed a job to sustain your family, to sustain yourself, to have a dignified life. Today, that's the truth. They want to destroy it right now because it was walking towards that direction. And our system became highly corrupted by those who are lousy workers. Because they shouldn't be working anymore, that's the truth. They shouldn't be sitting in a position of decision, in that sense, over other people at least. They can't, because they're incompetent. They're incompetent. We are letting incompetent people work, and they shouldn't. They should become consumers. They should have as much fun as they want to in life, and stay away from working stations. Oh, but there's job for everyone if you just look at it. If you just look for it. But why should you? We don't need to. Like, there's a huge discussion in, for instance, in the educational system today, that thanks to unions, teachers cannot be fired. They can be completely incompetent. They can't be fired, technically speaking, unless they do something really outraging. They can't be fired, and that's not good, because then you have an incompetent person teaching a class of kids. What do you think an incompetent person can teach kids? To be what? To be incompetent. And if you ever wonder why so many people are failing in life, there you have it. We should design or discuss a whole new way of life, how education should be run. We should not be running in this Orwellian kind of, like, serious. If you analyze, like, it might sound gullible, but it's not. If you compare the way that a jail system works to the way that the school works, it's basically the same. This model needs to go when it's about our kids. There are better ways for them to be educated, and we should be reconsidering those things. You know, we do not need those humongous buildings anymore when kids have computers at home. Like, my 3-year-old daughter can operate an iPad. Sure, they shouldn't be in their iPads the whole day, of course not. They're children. They don't even want to, given the chance. They get bored and they go out and play. They want to go out and play. That's what they want to do. That's what children want to do. And that's what they should do, because that gives them a better body. That gives them a better structure. To force a child to sit down in a chair for hours when they like in the exact time that they shouldn't be doing that they should be developing their physical abilities, because by being physically fit, it's proven you become mentally better, your mind becomes clearer. So we should be considering all those systems, but bear in mind the base of the system. Okay, today the machinery 24/7. We have had now this incident in the US because they're still clinging to old ways, and this is why they're failing, because the old ways don't work anymore. They don't need to. We have better solutions. It started with the McDonald's, that the McDonald's wanted the minimum wage to be higher. So what did they do? And they are not doing it because they're evil. They have no choice. They need to make profit. If the CEO of a company doesn't make profit, he's fired. He's fired. His position is much more insecure, and they work a lot more. I have seen them work. It's insane. It is no wonder they develop heart diseases or even mental diseases in some cases, that some of them just commit suicide. It's inhumane how much those guys have to work. Because if they don't, they get fired. They get kicked out. It's a piece of cake. Much easier to get a CEO fired than it is to get a worker fired. Believe me. And if you doubt me, check the laws. Check the unions, if you doubt me. Just ask your union. They will fill you in a lot of rights you have, if you didn't know already, that CEOs don't have. CEO is, where's my money? Like the actionists, where's my money? Where's my fucking money? And if they don't get that money, you're out. So, do you understand? And by saying that, for the people who do not know, because they don't know me, of course, I understand that. I have to empathize. I'm not defending corporationism or any of that bullshit. It's outdated. Again, another thing that needs to go, because it doesn't even need to go. Like, we don't need to make it go away. Like, we don't need to start a movement or start a revolt. Or, no. We just need to demand a way of life, proper, or live, just to accept living a way of life proper to our actual current reality, to the age of information, not the industrial age anymore, the age of information, a new step, the Anthropocene. We have become the climate, the environment, the decider of the shape of Earth. We can redesign Earth. It's because people don't talk about those things too much that we don't know about it. But we can change everything. We are changing the course of rivers. We are creating artificial lakes. We are depleting real lakes. We are drying oceans. We are like vanishing with mountains. We are creating mountains. We are changing the environment, really. We beyond anything that has ever been seen in the history of humankind, or beyond in geological history. This is how much power we have right now. And this is why this should be a natural shift, and we shouldn't be resisting it. And we shouldn't be accepting when they fearmonger us into believing more works, they're going to take more jobs. Those jobs are being taken by machines. If you want to know, machinery is taking over. No, there's not a robot that will take over the world. No, they don't have a brain. You don't put a brain on it, it won't think. Okay, it would twitch and turn and twitch and turn and whatever you tell it to do, because it doesn't have a brain. Not really. Not as an animal brain, with its own volitions and with the capacity to feel pain, and unless we program it to react like that, it won't. That's how much power we have. And people do not realize what's going on. And again, our system was starting to move that way. Of course, because it was still clinging to old ideological systems, it failed. It is failing, it's being taken over and destroyed. I have seen it here in Scandinavia. It's disgusting what is going on. It's disgusting how they destroyed the social system that worked. It worked. Oh, but it drained the money. No. Today, the last decade, for the last decade, the money has been intentionally drained. For the last decade, the new governments came with those new ideas of creating several how do I call it, departments, several state departments, or state related or state funded departments, nothing private, but state commanded, government commanded. Like, we have this thing here in Denmark called job center that doesn't get anybody really a job. People get their jobs by their own volition. You know, it has what, 15% rate success. I mean, it has the same rate, perhaps even less than it used to be when people were looking for a job by their own, without any pressure, without that place, job center, is doing. It's throwing people who are in the welfare, who have been accustomed to the new reality. Okay, we were and they received very little money in comparison to the worker. So we were creating a consumer class. You understand, a class of consumers, and things were starting like that was boosting Scandinavia, because then working was considered a prize, a prize that you had to earn, like something that people looked up to more than before. More than before. Before it was a must do. You understand? You just did it. When you give people the option to work, becomes something big, and the non-worker become the norm. And we were moving towards this, but then something happened in our system that they want to sabotage this, because they believe, for some odd reason, the new administrations believe that everybody should have a work and everybody should be working and they should be out of their homes and not having fun, because having fun is somehow bad. Although we never produced as much as we produce today, you are not supposed to enjoy it. Somehow you have to keep on producing or whatever, but you don't need to, because the machines are doing it anyway. So we might be some clash, because a need for adaptation of the leads to the new reality, so they're trying to fight against it. But as all elites in the history of humankind, if they don't adapt, they will cease to exist, and in the most horrifying manner. And I don't even want to know what can be done with the age of information in that sense. What I know for sure is that we need to accept, and it needs to be done quick. If you want to enjoy your life, if you who might be watching this so far, want to enjoy your life, you should embrace this, because this is for you. Like, this is not only for me, this is all of us. That's the new reality. We need to realize that we do not need to work. Not everyone needs to work. Let the people who really want to work, let the people who burn for working, do it. Because we saw what happened if we try to elevate those jobs that a machine can do. What happens? First, McDonald's. They raised the minimum wage in McDonald's. What happened? McDonald's started installing panels that people could select what they wanted to eat by themselves. The machines do the job. Now Walmart, what was sustaining the retired who liked to work, what was sustaining the teenager kids who wanted to try the market. They wanted to see what work was all about. They wanted to have their own money and make their parents proud and all that. What was sustaining several groups of people, because they decided to play chicken with the reality of the facts. Guess what? And it would be nice if you were playing chicken, running against a cow reality, if you had a cow of your own. But no, they are running without a cow against reality. Guess what happens? Okay, they got hurt. Walmart had no choice, because their CEOs, if they don't provide, and I'm not saying, oh, down with it. No, it's all a natural movement, and we should just realize it. You should just embrace this moment, and instead of trying to fight against it, because you can't. What we should do, what you should do, if you feel that you are on the losing side by becoming a consumer. So either you devote your time to leisure, or you devote your time to advancing yourself, to becoming a better person, or both, leisure and becoming a better person, as I do. Demanding higher wages for jobs that computers or machines can do will only get you fired. and not because companies are evil, and not because CEOs are assholes. CEOs don't have a choice. They don't have a choice. They are told more what to do than you are, believe me. They don't even have breaks at weekends. Every 5 minutes a phone call. They need to drop their ice cream. They need, if they're in the beach. I saw it. Remember once I took my kids to the beach and we were with my beach at the beach, but all the time those people close to us, they kept on the fucking mobile kept on calling a weekend. Kept on calling. It was either somebody, I mean, the guy was right on our side and he had to talk higher because he was on the beach. So impossible, we couldn't hear. So it was either somebody in God knows where in Hong Kong that had a problem related to his business, or it was the local office. Somebody couldn't work something out and they needed, like there were people all over from all over the world calling the guy. The guy couldn't even have ice cream. He needed to give his ice cream to his kids so he could talk, and he couldn't play with his kids. He couldn't do anything. He had to drop the why, because he was probably one of the top executives, if not a CEO, and he had to be 24/7 in the like perhaps not 24/7, but during the daytime, at least when he was not asleep, he had to be in the call. He had to be solving everybody else's problems. Because truth is, many people who are in the working, like in the labor force, they suck. They're lousy. They shouldn't be working. That's the truth. They shouldn't be working. They don't want to work. They don't like, or even if they want to work, they don't like the work that they are doing at that moment. So because of that, production goes down. And this is something that they know already from studies made in the 60s and 70s, where they have, like, they believe me, they have researched it truly, and they have concluded with psychologists, with all sorts of academics related to it, where they can conclude that if a person does not like to work, the production will go down. That's the reality. And now machines can do all the boring work. The reason that your kids were sent to an educational system that needs to change as well, it needs to change for our own benefit, for the, like today we talk a lot about government expenses. Just imagine how much money would the government save if we didn't need to keep up huge schools, school buildings, if we could just have local related. I haven't thought this through. I invite you to think it with me. Like, my direct solution is homeschooling. That's the approach I would consider. However, let's say you have an idea. Let's say there are more things there, and perhaps turn some of the schools into more of a sports center or something like that, because research also shows that children should be playing. It's better for them. But there's a reason why your child was being forced into sitting down, shutting the fuck up, and doing repetitive tasks. Of course, learning to write and read and mathematics, everything that is related to a work. That's what your child were being taught to. They were being taught to be, forgive me the name I'm going to use, factory drones. Okay, they were being taught to be factory drones and military cannon fodder, especially in the first 100 years of, well, at least the first 50 years of educational system. They were being taught to be military cannon fodder, like soldiers, and factory workers. This is why the educational system was designed that way. Very similar, actually, to prison institute, punitive institutions of the industrial age. Nonetheless, this is why they were being taught like that. And it was necessary, perhaps, it was good, because that would grant them a work, that would grant them a job, that would grant them a career, so they could sustain themselves or their family if they decided to have any further on the line when they were not brilliant. So brilliancy was smashed. They needed people to work in the factories. So if you ever wondered why, if they are children, they are forced. If you ever wondered, there are people, majority of people don't seem to give a damn about their kids. Because if they did, they would be shouting from the rooftops how insane that is. But if you ever wondered, this is why. Because they were preparing those kids to factory work and military service, okay, to obey, to do their duty, to perform boring tasks in repetition for hours. That's what they were being taught. Is it wrong? Is it right? Completely different times, not for me to judge. Those were the days, those were the times. I didn't live there. I do not know. What I do know now is times have changed, things have changed, our technology has advanced. Work that an entire city used to do can be performed in a computer. Equations that took a human, a trained, skilled economist to do in 3-4 days takes 3-4 minutes for a computer to do. Not because they are more intelligent than we are. They can't rationalize. They need to accept and perform. Computers, like softwares, are extremely logical. They do not have all the nuances that humans have. And you can clearly see the difference when you play chess with a human and when you play chess with a computer. Their reaction, they throw pieces in the game that a human would never do in the way that a computer does. Because a computer is purely logical. We are born logical, but then we are broken down by our current system to become kind of irrational in a way. Like they say, rational. Rationality and logic are different things. Some beg to differ, some do not know what they are talking about. Point being, times have changed. We need to adapt to the new reality or we are going down. And our societies are already starting to collapse because they decided to fight it. They decided to fight the natural way our society should be going. And this is what is wrong in our society, if you ever wondered. Our today's politicians, our governments, they wish to sabotage the natural development. Several of our societies, of Occidental societies, are filling their societies with people who are living in a completely different time. A time that can be perceived in terms of cultural technological advance from before the industrial age, from the times of farmers, their mindset, their ideology, the way that they live. That's how bad they want to sabotage all our development. That is what is going on. And this is why we should push back. Because we have reached a point where we do not need to work. And taxes, they don't need to be that high. The reason taxes are becoming higher is because of administrative inefficiency. We have too many people working in jobs that are not even producing anything. Why? All because of that mindset that everybody needs to work, that do not adapt to the current reality of the facts. It is not reality anymore. No, not everybody needs to work. Competent, willing people need to work. Even the military has changed. They do not want just everyone to serve. Of course, they are thankful if they have enough money to do that. And, today, much of the military is just paper pushing. So, they want the competent. They want someone to go to a war who won't suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder because their psyche is designed in a way that they understand why they are there, they understand what they are doing, and they do not really bother doing those things. The majority of people do. The majority of people suffer. They bother about those things. They do not understand why they need to do them in the first place. Are you starting to understand? Even the military, the more narrow-minded, and they are narrow-minded because they need to be. Because the more you need to be narrow-minded, you need to solve a problem. So even the military is realizing that they need a specific kind, and not the crazies, not the psychopaths. Those when they get bored, they start killing everybody around them. If they can't kill the enemy, they will kill their own. Not those. They understand why they are there. They understand they can cope with it. They don't suffer post-traumatic stress disorder. Pretty much the other way around. They get happy. They need a specific kind of person, and it's technically 1% of the human population to serve in the military. They don't need all the others. They're a waste of time, they're a waste of effort, they will fail, they won't shoot when they need to, they will break down, and that will cost the system humongous fortunes to keep them for decades. Because we're also living much more, because of our life standards have bettered much more than before. So that's what we are getting. We are getting there. But there is a pushback, probably from the people who profited from those old, outdated, failed systems. So they are pushing back, they are sabotaging, they are throwing sand, they are throwing their shoes in the machinery to see if it breaks. That will probably only get them fired, if you ask me. It's a very different kind of revolution that is happening right now. It's the revolution of the bureaucrats. It's the revolution of the mediocre. It's a very different revolution. Well, perhaps this is how revolutions happen. It was the mediocre factory worker that would be afraid of getting fired because they wouldn't be doing their job properly. So they would, of course, try to throw their shoe into the machine to break it, even if they got them fired. Stupid people. They need to stay away from work because they're bad news. And we should demand that, we should get to the point. Demand doesn't solve anything if you're not willing to go through what it takes to make a demand happen. We need to accept the new reality. We need to accept the new social class, the consumer class, which actually will have much more power than we ever had before, not less. If you would pay people just to stay home if they want to stay home, and let the people who want to work, that would balance the problems. that would solve every problem we have. Believe me. I have thought about it. I have done economical models. I have tried it in real life. I have tried it in virtual reality. I have done whatever I could to see if I was correct in what I'm saying. And it seems I am. Everything is pointing out to this moment in time where there will be a consumer base and there will be a producing base. The producers will produce because they want to produce, because they feel like producing, because they like producing. And the consumers will consume because they like to consume, they like to criticize, they like to give their opinion and not do much about it anyway. So it's perfect. It's perfect. Even in this sense, it's perfect. Makes absolute sense. Everybody wins. Everybody. There are no losers. In a society where people who want to work can work without being bothered, and the people who don't want to work don't need to. And we don't need to pay again. The taxes we are paying are too high. They are being mismanaged. They're being mismanaged to the point that governments are participating and starting wars they are not supposed to, because of so much money that people are throwing into their face. And of course, those guys are only going to demand more. They don't care. If we would pay half of the taxes we have today, and believe me, computers and machinery make it unnecessary to go to several places that we need to go every day. You know, the majority of work, of paperwork, if not all the paperwork, is already being done by computer. From my house, I can access Town Hall, I can access the tax service, I can access all the ministries, I can access anything bureaucratic, really. Why do we need so many bureaucrats when most of their work is being done already through the computer by software? We do not need that much civil servants, that many civil servants. We do not need all this. Times have changed. We do not need to sit for 3-4 days to finish one mathematical calculation. We can do it in 3-4 minutes. We do not need to go to the center of the city and wait in a humongous line, as I have seen. I remember back in the 80s how big lines were everywhere, in banks, in public offices, in town hall, anything, to get a paper. Oh, Jesus God. You know, it took you hours, days, weeks sometimes. You needed to wait because they needed to send it to a factory, and it would take days before they could deliver even the paper, like the document, because it needed to be. Nowadays, software and direct communication makes all this obsolete. It's all outdated. So we don't need that many civil servants. We don't need all this. We just need to be happy, as silly as it might sound, but that's pretty much it. If there would be a proper distribution, and I'm not saying by saying that, I'm definitely not talking about take more money from the rich. No. Who says that have no knowledge of how economies work. You know, rich people, they provided jobs, okay? not the government. The government provides unproductive jobs. Rich people provide productive jobs. But I'm not saying that. I'm sure that people can digress. You have been taught by an outdated failed system, regardless of what system it is. Okay, to make the socialists here happy, I'm not talking like capitalism is no better in the age of information. Okay, we have access to everything. We can print from our houses, and for the capitalists, thanks to capitalism, we can print from our houses. We can even print guns if we want. We can print whole bicycles from our homes, like with a home printer today. So we don't need to buy a bike. People are sharing designs of those things that you can produce from your house. So that will be the death of 1,000 factories, to say the least. You know, soon enough we are going to be able to make clothes from home. Soon enough we will have, and I'm not kidding, because that's the race of the big companies today, and even small companies today, because you can do, as I said, what would take an entire city to do before, you can do it all with a PC at your place. So a small company, provided they have fair competition rights, that's what we should discuss. You know, ethical things should be discussed right now. Forget all the bureaucratic. That's already being taken care of. Doubt me? Check a town hall's website. Check how many things you can do through the internet that before in time, and for those who lived in those days, can remember. There are people today that actually, if we, unless we consider the cinema, have never waited in line in their lives. Cinema, or like waiting in lines in banks today, I mean, that's nothing in comparison to what it was. And those who lived the 80s know what I'm talking about. You know, things that would take days now takes minutes, and you can do it from your living room, as I'm doing this video. A video. To understand, like 50 years ago, to do this, how many people would you need? How much technology you would need around you to do exactly what I'm doing today from my living room as we speak. Times have changed. There should be a consumer class. Forget proletarians, forget all this. There is a consumer class, and they are productive people. Like so few of us who actually need to work today, that we can pretty much define it as a consumer class and productive people. And this is an absolutely symbiotic relationship. Both benefit. Because I'll tell you, like, and you can check, you can do your research, you will reach the same conclusion I've reached, because I've done it for decades now. People are not really ambitious. Like they need to eat. Whenever you hear somebody talking about working, it's always the same reply, right? Oh, I need to eat. I need to pay the bills. It's you should understand it. It's not because they want to have a mansion or they want to have. They don't say no because I'm going to buy this palace. Like I have this amazing. I want that palace. I'm working so I can gather money so I can buy that fucking palace. You don't hear them say that. You say, I need to pay my food, I need to pay my bills, I need to buy some clothes, and the children might need things too. They are not talking about, as I've heard, in the higher circles of work, like of buying entire neighborhoods, or like the ambition. There's a difference in ambition. And it's funny to notice, like Machiavelli, he wrote already, people don't want power. Because if people wanted power, they would have it. Because when people revolt, there's very little a nobleman or or a tyrant can do, really. Because their army is constituted of people. His soldiers, won't shoot their mothers or won't shoot their if they see them in the street. Do you understand? It might even turn the soldiers, and it eventually does, turn the soldiers against their rulers. So this is what is going on here. Okay? Like, this principle is well known for ages. That's what I'm trying to say. That people they have very low ambition. Because the sky is the limit for an ambitious person. A real ambitious person. Not someone who is saying that they are ambitious because, like everybody should be a rock star or something like that. Like my generation was led to believe. We were lied to big time. But we can be consumers, which is kind of as good as being a rock star, because I know it's far-fetched for some people and it's a huge issue, because truth is the capitalists are actually sabotaging the welfare system, because they can, and they don't see the point with it anymore, because people have been appeased by the social system, by the welfare system. People were happy. That's the truth. So happy people don't revolt. Happy people don't chop heads off robber barons, if you understand what I mean. So they're throwing their shoes. Right now the capitalists are throwing their shoes because the system has surpassed capitalism even. It has definitely surpassed communism and all that, because all communist countries are jumping into capitalism. And that is giving a boost to capitalists to feel confident enough to try to kill off the welfare system. Bad idea, bad choice. They don't know what's going to happen. They don't know all the people who were calmed down. Very little money, but still they were calmed down, because at least they didn't need to go out and do the boring work that they are lousy and they hate, so they sabotage it. They don't need to do that anymore, which allowed us to enhance. Like, perhaps technology has advanced so much because some people were put away from the from the labor market. Think about that. People who would otherwise sabotage the whole system back in the days. I remember one of my first jobs, when I had a team of people around me saying, look, don't work too much or we'll fuck you up. You understand? That's how it used to be, the mediocre. During the whole Industrial Revolution, the mediocre at work had advantages. They managed to stall production. Don't put those people back in the labor market. Please, please, capitalists, for the sake of your own profits, don't do that. I know some of you are horrible people and you just want to make other people unhappy, but don't put those guys back, because they are going to make you very unhappy, because your production is going to go down because of those guys, because that's what they are good at. They're good at consuming, of taking, and not giving anything back, pretty much the other way around. So don't put those people back into the labor force. Please don't, because they are going to stall everybody else, because they know what they are. They're going to threaten all the others to be like them or else. So, we should have a welfare system. We should. People should leave the dystopia we're living in and rest for as much time as they want to, without needing all those medical therapies and absurd things that are going on today, that are also feeding a corrupt, counterproductive market that we are letting get away for the sake of jobs that we don't really need anymore. Machines can do everything. And they are going to do it cheaper for the companies too. It's stupid that so many capitalists want people back in the labor force and all that. They don't know what they're doing. Again, they try to put people back in the labor market. What happened? They demanded higher wages, or they would strike, or they would. So, okay, they had to give them higher wages. What happened next? They had to close several places down and fire several of them. So it's inevitable. Do you understand? It's a lost battle, really. And the quicker you realize that you're just shooting yourself in the foot by not embracing this. Sure, let's debate how much money should we need by that. Sure, let's debate how far should the welfare system actually go. But let's also debate how many people we really need in bureaucratic work. Let's also remove those people from the labor force, because I have seen it firsthand. I have dealt with several social workers. There are some good ones. There are those who help you, but the majority hates you, and they hate their job, and they just have a job because they need to. And some of them have a job so they can fuck with people. They can forgive my English, but that's the truth. They can destroy people's lives. They can mess people up. Those people need to get out of the labor force. Those people need to become consumer class. So they hopefully have as less access to other people as they possibly can, because they are the cause our societies have been stalled for so long, and now we have the possibility for once and for all getting rid of all those maniacs, not by killing them, but just by giving them money so they can live amongst themselves, if that's what they wish, or alone in their little apartment with access to all the things that they like, leaving everybody else alone. Well, okay, perhaps in dating sites where they can plague each other, or they can, but again, that's in a very, They will hurt, if hurting is the point, they will hurt much less people than they are doing today. Okay? So let's debate how efficient it should be. Let's debate how many people really should be working. Let's talk about all this. But let's realize that we have a new reality. We are living a new age. We have caused an entire new anthropological age. Again, if it is true or not, I do not know. I'm not a geologist. I'm not an expert in this field. I respect those who are. So if they decided that there is a new geological age, well, then there is. Science shouldn't be based on consensus. It should be based on facts. But we are humans. We all have our personal prejudices. We all have our personal experiences. We all have our pet peeves, our personal pet peeves, and our personal taste. You get the point. You should by now. Fact is, the majority of people today, thanks to our technology, thanks to the development of our society, should not be working at all, because we have never produced so much that we are actually throwing away so much that is being produced to try to keep the prices up. Let's discuss that as well. And let us leave the people who want to work to do their job, and those who do not want to work to stay away from a job. They're going to ruin it, as they have throughout history. Okay? They are the ones who do strikes. They are the ones who annoy everybody else. The real capable, the worker, the good worker, the skilled, the willing worker. They don't want to strike. They don't want all those things. And their bosses love them, and they give them raises because they work more, they work faster, they work better, they're efficient. I have also, I can say that. It's not just anecdotal. Feel free to check the facts, what facts are due. Ask any executive, ask anybody who works in a company. If you are known for being efficient, if you are known for doing a good job, I have seen it myself. People from other companies, they find out your personal number in the company even, and they call you, like the secretary calls you. I have seen it. It happened to me. I know it happens. Okay, I'm not the most prolific person in the world. So I just did a good job, and what happened was other companies call me and they offer me working opportunities, and they offer me an office of my own or whatever is it. They think I'm worth. They think I'm worth. Oh, English language. They think I'm worth. Do you understand? This is how you're raising ranks in a company. It's not really given for you because it's designed. I mean, who says that is living in the 19th century and believes that, as they believed in the 19th century, if you did not know that, do know that life couldn't exist under 100 meters of water, because there would be no light. Makes sense, right? It's absolutely logical and even rational to conclude that what brings life in our environment, like where people were living back in the 19th century. Oh, light, light is related to like photosynthesis, and humans need light too, or like it has consequences. So light is the key for life, they concluded. Light and pressure you know, a specific amount of pressure, and beyond that level of pressure, according to reasoning back in those days, uh, life would be impossible. But well, we have life below, way below 1,000 meters below sea level. We have life. So with no light, they develop their own light. Like, such is the nature of things. So in the 19th century, they believed in those things, and they didn't have like that. They were still, weren't they still curing people with leeches and stuff, as if it wouldn't cure anyone? Things have changed a lot, exponentially, and they will exponentially change even more faster. So we shouldn't be clinging to those old systems based on all that. We shouldn't be clinging to those old ideas anymore. We should be looking for new ones. And we can do that. We can look. All you need to do is to sit down on your computer and look for new ideas, if you want any. But remember, kids, class. We have the virtues and the consumers. The new reality. The ones who produce, no, let's say three. Let's say the new three classes. And they are all consumers, actually. They are all consumers. They all consume. So yeah, one class. Finally, one class. One big class of consumers. Divided in three. The average, the non-working, the pure consumer class, the consumer and productive class, and the virtuous class, the people who can do things that you wouldn't believe. Certain, very few artists, and very few scientists, and very few virtuous people, musicians and stuff like that. And then we have the hard workers, the ones willing to work, the ones that our technology even I even wonder if there would be enough work even for those who are willing to work when technology really kicks in the companies. But it's funny also to see that the more they try to push it back, the more it pushes them forward. Like those things demanding higher wages and old ideas and old management systems. They are forced. They have no other choice by their own laws and rules and regulations that they created to close down business if they try to work in those outdated models. So it's factual. It should be clear that this is the new reality. We should just discuss the terms under which we wish to live. And I think it should be case to case. However, there should be, of course, a general rule. And again, if we just shut down half of the bureaucracy we have today, it wouldn't be missed. It wouldn't be missed at all. And stop those stupid wars that don't really solve anything and they just create more problems. I mean, serious? Are people even making money for real out of it? I hardly believe, because I see a lot of companies that were profiting from it failing. So I don't think that they are even making money out of those things. I just think that they are stupid people who are clinging to old ideas, to useless concepts that have failed, and they are failing with them. So it's inevitable. There will be a brave new world. It just won't be as they thought it would be. It will be much better, you know, much better, much better. Why? Because being bad is counterproductive in an age of technology. Okay? It's counterproductive. Consumers are realizing that they have a humongous power. Started in gaming recently, very recently. When companies, huge companies, not only they apologized, but they released the game of the year as a formal apology for free for anyone who had bought a bad game. Then you realize the size of the power, not to mention the financial power. They are already one of the highest, like top three, the top three wealthiest industries in the world, like the gaming industry. So there's a lot of indie, like small businesses doing that, like one guy or three kids in a dorm or something that are developing games as we speak that are becoming hits, have become in the recent past. So there's no stopping. Like when individuals can outcompete huge, massive corporations. I mean, that's the reality we are living in, and that's how little we need all those other like wage raises and all this. All this is gone. People should be able to negotiate their own value. We don't even need unions nowadays. They have done their job. They have done a fair share of job, but they need to go as well. They're destroying the educational system. They're destroying all the civil servant environment, like over excessive amount of workers that don't do anything really other than stall everybody else's work, or well, not ruin people, break people down. I've seen horrible things in the system, that I do not recommend to anyone. Some people really shouldn't have a job. Believe me, they should. They shouldn't be allowed to have a job, especially a civil servant job. They shouldn't be. I would rather have those people in welfare, no matter how much they are being paid, even if it is almost the same as they are paid to work. We can debate that. Than have them in the working market. With this, I bid you farewell. Think about those things.